A revolutionary new way to fight heart disease being developed, and the FDA clears a new cancer-fighting drug. Joining us this morning to discuss some of the biggest health headlines is Senior Fellow at the Cato Institute, Dr. Jeffrey Singer. Good morning to you, Doctor. I want to start with this new prostate cancer treatment. Tell us about Lynparza.
Yeah, abiraterone is a drug that was approved by the FDA to treat very advanced and very difficult cases of prostate cancer. And researchers recently found that by adding the steroid prednisone to it, it increases its effectiveness by 76%. And the combination is called Lynparza. Now, Lynparza has been approved by the FDA to treat certain kinds of breast cancer, but now it's been approved to treat prostate cancer. And interestingly, and this is not an unusual story, Lynparza was approved to treat prostate cancer months ago in Europe and other countries.
Yeah, there's also this biotech company in Cambridge, Massachusetts that's devised a way to use gene editing to lower cholesterol and the risk of cardiovascular disease. So how does this compare to the alternative using drugs like statins?
This is a great breakthrough. Most people, to get their LDL or bad cholesterol down, are put on statin drugs, which not everybody tolerates well because it could cause terrible cramping. It could also cause liver damage. Also, there's been a drug developed that that turns off the gene that basically makes you make LDL cholesterol, but that's extremely expensive and you have to get regular infusions. So now this biotech company developed a product where you could inject nanoparticles into a person one time and it turns off that gene, and it seems like it's one and done.
Wow.
Monkey trials showed a 70% reduction in LDL cholesterol after just 2 weeks, and 2 years later their cholesterol levels stayed low. So now there are clinical trials underway, phase 1 trials in New Zealand and in the UK, but our FDA is still not allowed phase 1 clinical trials yet. They still want more information.
That is fascinating, but how revolutionary could this technology be? And speaking of which, when you talk about how it hasn't gotten approval here in the U.S., even for clinical trials, when could Americans be able to access it?
Yeah, I mean, this could be the start of a whole new way of treating a lot of diseases where we could basically give you a one-time treatment, change a couple of genes that are causing the problem, and you're fixed. So this is very exciting. The problem is there are many people who have waited, sometimes suffer months or even die waiting for the FDA to approve drugs that are available in other countries. And so we don't know how long it's going to take for them to even approve trials here in the United States. This is why a lot of policymakers, including myself, have suggested what lawmakers call reciprocity, where basically Americans are allowed to use drugs that are approved by the FDA equivalents of some developed, trusted countries like the UK and the European Union, as long as they know that it's not FDA approved, but it's approved by those countries, because at least people get access to these drugs that they otherwise can't get in this country.
The Canadian wildfires still raging right now, and we know that the air quality for millions of Americans right now is not great. There's been an air quality alert for more than a dozen states issued. So what does this mean? Tell us some of the symptoms and things we should be looking out for and things that we should be avoiding.
Well, you should try to avoid going outside, particularly if you have a lung condition or a heart condition. There's a lot of tiny particles from the smoke, and this can cause aggravation of asthma. It can cause exacerbation of lung disease. There's evidence that it increases the risk of stroke and heart attacks in people who have heart conditions. It also could, because it inflames the lining of your lungs, it could make you more prone to develop respiratory infections like viral infections, COVID, the flu, even pneumonia. So people should avoid going outside. Now, here's the situation where it actually might help if you have to go outside, to wear a mask outside, because some of these particles are large enough that they won't come in through the tiny little holes in the mask. So at least they'll protect you it'll reduce the amount of soot you're breathing into your lungs, although it's not a cure-all.
All right. Senior Fellow at the Cato Institute, Dr. Jeffrey Singer, thanks for joining us this morning here on the National Desk. Have a great week, sir.
Thank you. You too.